Drafters TV. I'm Ben Hauver, and today we're switching things up. We're going to be doing a player versus player comparison. Will Fuller versus Brandin Cooks. Who is the Texans wide receiver to own in 2020? It's a question with a profitable right answer. But before I forget, make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video. I have a ticket to give away to Drafters Best Ball Championship, a $50K guaranteed prize pool tournament over on Drafters. I'll be announcing the winner to that at the end of the video. Before I get into that, though, we do need to dive deep into this Houston Texans wide receiver depth chart. First off, Will Fuller has been a topic of conversation in the fantasy community for a while now, and I think the reason for that is obvious. It's because earlier in this offseason, Bill O'Brien traded away DeAndre Hopkins for pennies on the dollar. Over the last 3 seasons, DeAndre Hopkins has averaged 162.3 targets per season, an absolutely dominant market share of his own team's targets. He's been Deshaun Watson's go-to the whole time. Now, with his departure, he's leaving behind upwards of 150 targets, and they have to go somewhere in this offense. So, where are they going to go? The Texans added David Johnson as part of the Hopkins trade. They, quote-unquote, upgraded on Kiki Cutie by adding Randall Cobb, who's going to be 30 years old by the time week 1 starts, and they traded for Brandin Cooks. Hey, this guy Brandin Cooks gets traded around more than germs in a pandemic, am I right? So, where does that leave us? With Will Fuller as the de facto wide receiver 1, Brandin Cooks coming in to be the 2, and Randall Cobb set to split slot targets with Kenny Stills, right? Or is that right? You see, that's what the fantasy community is seeming to think. It's what they're assuming. But I'm not so sure that Will Fuller is going to be the wide receiver 1. In fact, I'm not sure there's really any evidence whatsoever to support that theory. Will Fuller is entering his 5th year. He's played 4 seasons in the NFL. He's never finished a season with over 700 yards receiving. His career high is 670. His highest finish in fantasy, wide receiver 53. Meanwhile, Brandin Cooks from 2015 to 2018, over 1,000 yards for 4 consecutive seasons. He has as many finishes as a top 15 wide receiver in fantasy as seasons that Will Fuller has played. It's not like he's some old vet either. He's 26 years old. He's the same age as Will Fuller. And before I start to sound like some anti-Will Fuller guy, I am not. I played him in DFS in week 5 last year when he was chalk and he popped off for 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was there like the rest of you. What a great week that was. I was ready to get Will Fuller tatted on my neck. I don't want to hear any "you're a Will Fuller hater" accusations. No, it's not me. I like the guy, but if you look at the way that these 2 players have produced, it's really not that close. Brandin Cooks has been better across the board in almost every category. Let's compare some career stats. Cooks has averaged more fantasy points per game, 14.19 to Fuller's 11.32, almost 3 more full fantasy points per game. Cooks has averaged a higher yards per target. Yes, a higher yards per target than Mr. Deep Threat himself, 9.3 yards per target to Will Fuller's 8.6. And he's even been more efficient, 65% catch percentage to Will Fuller's 60.5. It's even more impressive to me when you factor in that Cooks did all of that on 3 different teams in 6 years. Now, does it say something about Brandin Cooks that he's about to be on his 4th team in 7 years? I think that it does, or at least it might, but he's managed to be productive everywhere he's been. Yes, he's gotten the boost from being at the receiving end of passes from elite quarterbacks. He played with Breeze and Brady. He also played with Jared Goff, who is not elite, but he did benefit from being part of that Sean McVay offense during the glory run. Somehow, he finds himself in arguably the best situation yet, atop the wide receiver depth chart of a team that just vacated 160 targets, and somehow, almost impossibly, he finds himself playing with the best quarterback he's played with yet, Deshaun Watson, right in the middle of his prime. I think at worst, Brandin Cooks is the 1A to Will Fuller's 1B. Realistically, Cooks might just be the flat-out number 1 guy with Will Fuller maintaining his role as the number 2. That's really not a knock to Will Fuller. He's flourished in that number 2 role. The biggest obstacle to Will Fuller's production isn't Brandin Cooks and what Brandin Cooks is going to come in and do. It's himself. It's his own health. He's coming off of core muscle surgery that went down in January. He's missed over a third of the games that he could have potentially played since entering the league. Yes, Brandin Cooks, does he have concussion concerns? He does. But as Bill O'Brien bluntly put it in April, quote, yes, he's had concussions, but he's only missed 2 games since 2015. And that's true. You know, what is it they say, right? Your best attribute is availability, right? It's something like that. I will draft Will Fuller in best ball. He has access to a wild ceiling, especially on a week-to-week basis. It's just a matter of what he's going to be able to accomplish over a full season, because we really haven't seen it besides his rookie year, and he was a rookie at that point. When you consider everything that I've said in this video, and then you notice that Will Fuller's ADP on Drafters, 73.6, going as the wide receiver 32, is 14.1 picks higher than Brandin Cooks. So you can get Brandin Cooks later as the wide receiver 37, going around pick 87. You know, how could you not think that Brandin Cooks is the superior fantasy pick when you include value, pass production, the ability that he has shown to handle that wide receiver 1 role? Will Fuller has frankly never shown it. He hasn't even been able to stay healthy and maintain a wide receiver 2 role for an entire season. I think the only conclusion you can draw is that Brandin Cooks is the better pick. But what do you think? Have I misjudged it? Am I not giving enough credit to the chemistry that Watson and Fuller already have, and that, you know, he'll still have to build with Cooks, especially in this shortened offseason? You know, that is something to consider. Tell me what you think. For your chance to win a free ticket to the Best Ball Championship on Drafters, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel and comment below with your thoughts on the subject of this video, Will Fuller or Brandin Cooks. I want to hear from the people. Make sure that you drop your Drafters username in that comment as well, so we know how to get in touch with you. Now, last week I did a video recapping a draft that I did in the Drafters Best Ball Championship. I asked for your thoughts on the teams. Now I've got the names of everybody who commented on that video opened up into randomizer. So the winner will be the first person who comes up on this list. So let's find out who we've got. The winner of this week's giveaway is FF Bowler 300. He might be a repeat winner. I'm not sure. He's definitely a repeat commenter. So thank you, FF Bowler, for continually watching these videos. And your comment was, I gotta be honest, I don't really like your team that much. Thank you, brutally honest. I think that you're pretty weak at RB and reached a few times when you really didn't need to. My favorite quote was when you took Kyler and said, yeah, now watch, I'm going to push this next tier of QBs up at least 2. And nobody took the bait. Yeah, so you're exactly right. I did take Kyler Murray in that draft when Deshaun Watson and I think Russell Wilson, maybe even Dak was on the board. Dak might have gone, but I was hoping that, you know, I could push some guys that I wanted to my next pick by triggering that tier 2 QB run. It did not work out, and that team got really weird. So I would recommend watching that video, because it's a good example of how to adapt when plans don't you know, follow through. But anyways, thank you, FF Bowler 300, for the comment. Enjoy your free entry into the Drafters 50K guaranteed prize pool Best Ball Championship. I will see you in the lobby. I'm always in there. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with another player comparison very soon on this channel, so stay tuned.